said. I am a mom here. I've got a 5th grader and a 3rd grader, and then I also have a 7th grader at the middle school. My husband also works for the district too, so if you've seen our last name, that's maybe one of the 3 little people, or my husband who looks exactly like them, so it's easy to spot with them. My background's actually in education. I was a teacher before I was a mom. I taught middle school and high school math and science, and then moved on working in social emotional programs for a few districts in South Texas. You guys have seen all the Oveia stuff going around and everything in the schools. I used to work in that kind of department with the anti-bullying and then with parenting classes as well through those districts we were doing, and kind of a positive action, which is more for middle schoolers, getting them going and being more positive, I should say, not stress the negative. And then a reconnecting youth working with high school at-risk kids. From there, I moved on to work at the Texas Education Agency for a few years, is what brought us to Austin. And then for Pearson, it's an international education company. So I have been working the past 6 or 7 years in teacher training, predominantly working with schools, principals, counselors, doing trainings in schools, on the side doing some of the parenting consulting with that piece that I ran. And I thought, these are the same kids that are here using all these kind of strategies to work with our kids to reduce behaviors, to help them learn, spending less. That's the big complaint I heard at TEA and at Pearson as well. It's like, we don't have time to do all of these lessons to get everything in, to get them ready for the test. We're spending our time on behavior. If I'm having to stop that, stop that, how am I going to get all of this academics in? So I started kind of thinking and talking with Jessica and everyone and said, this can be applied to parents too. I definitely, when my kids are working on homework, I snap into teacher voice, and you start to apply those same kind of strategies with your kids. It's a little harder with your kids to stay in that mode than it is at the school for me, but they're the same people here as they are at home. So if we can use those same kind of strategies with our kids, whether we're helping them with homework, whether we're taking them on a vacation, taking them outside the house, something to teach them, to keep those behaviors kind of in check, keep our sanity, help us to stop just repeating, my house it's, put your shoes up, put your shoes up, put your shoes up, put your shoes up, and you're saying it over and over and over and over again, then everybody's frustrated, everybody's yelling, and the shoes are still sitting on the couch. So anyhow, that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. I know, speaking of testing, that season's coming up. Nerves will start to get into play. You want to get all that last minute knowledge, make sure they know it, make sure you're helping your teachers, help your kids, to get everything through. And these are just kind of some simple little strategies to help keep the calm, to help you better enable the kids to kind of motivate themselves and work with you, as in the Jerry Maguire term, to help me help you kind of thing. So, all right, and what this is actually, these are discipline strategies for us. It's not really for the kids, okay? It's not things that are going to say, okay, you can teach your kid how to do this, and then they will change. No, it's more of a mindset for us as adults. We can change this behavior and pattern and set the tone as the adults, and then you'll see the results in the kids, okay? Parents and teachers have the most difficult job in America. We are making decisions all day long. They say the average teacher makes about 4,000 decisions in a day. And so parents, we're doing the same thing. As soon as they're home with us and on the weekends, it's constant. They're just piling up, and each decision affects the other decision. So we'll talk about maybe how to ease that a little bit to reduce some of this. Okay, it's time to be proactive. You hear stuff about positive reinforcement, proactive strategies to balance that with the reactive, okay? And that's what I really want to share with you, some of the things I've learned on how to set that stage, how to be proactive in your teaching of your children, your lessons, your activities you're going to do with them, have it ready to roll so we're not reacting to the behaviors that we'll see if we don't. Okay, we hear this all the time. Discipline, discipline's huge. It's controversial, whether it's in the classroom or at home, punishment, if not to punish, to be positive, to let the kids make the decisions, to spank or not to spank. We won't go into all of that kind of stuff. That is your decision as a parent. But punishment alone doesn't change behaviors. If it did, there'd be no need for prisons. We would have taught them all as kids and in the schools, and we wouldn't have to lock anybody up ever again because we punished them already. They learned. It doesn't quite work. We need that balance of proactive, reactive, positive reinforcement mixed with negative enforcement. They need both, right? If they're touching a hot stove, you're not going to say, oh, what did we learn from this? You're gonna, don't do that, stop. We need some of the positive and the negative. But we want to discipline the behavior, not the children. Schools say this all the time. There are no bad kids, but there are bad behaviors. You hear that in the bullying program. We don't call kids bullies. We say you're showing bullying behavior, okay? Kids are, I believe personally, people are inherently good, especially kids, but they will exhibit behaviors that they've learned and that they've learned that they can exhibit, okay? As I mentioned already, there's much more to discipline than just punishment, okay? There's setting the stage, there's positive reinforcement, and a big piece we'll get into is teaching them the expectations that we have, okay? They're not just born knowing how we expect them to behave. We've got to spend the time to teach them that. We want to give them enough rope to burn themselves, but not hang themselves, okay? You definitely want to give kids the latitude. I know if you're talking about a preschooler or a kindergartner, they're going to get a little less rope, right, to work with than if we're talking about our fifth graders or our middle schoolers or high schoolers. We hear a lot, our generation, we're termed as helicopter parents, we're always right on top of them, which I can see the pro and the con to that. I'm one of them too. I want to be right there on top of my kids. My husband is a behavioral psychologist. Obviously, he's going to want to sit and watch everything that they do. But we've got to kind of pull back, give them a little bit of latitude, but obviously, and I know I'm preaching to the choir here, you wouldn't be here if you didn't have these kind of beliefs. We're not going to let them just run wild either. Go ahead, I've already covered that last piece there. Big thing here that we've always got to keep in perspective, that conflict is inevitable and it's essential. They're learning, okay? The only way you learn how to behave or you learn anything is to push that boundary, and then maybe get pushed back or learn that it's okay. Risk-taking is vital. They'll never become those entrepreneurs or those leaders if they don't ever get to take those risks. And that comes from conflict, so we've got to let them push it, and it's going to happen, whether we let them or not, it's going to happen. My first child is now in 7th grade, 13 years old. He's definitely started to push boundaries and trying to learn what he can and cannot do, what he can and cannot say, how far he can go. It's going to happen. And it's essential for them. It's us as adults trying to walk that fine line on when to shut them down, how to shut them down, how to let them kind of go. And that's what I want to talk about, is the self-control aspect with parents, with adults, to be able to handle that a little better. Okay. All right. Big piece of it is keeping cool. It's self-control. That's one of the 5 pillars of this kind of program that I've been trained in to talk to schools about. That's the hardest part, right? When they're trying to push those boundaries, when they're trying, to go with the conflict, whether it's a pesky little behavior or a big one, for us to be able to keep cool, set that stage, and not climb that ladder with them. Okay? There's verbal communication. Obviously, saying is calm is contagious. If you can keep that calm voice when you're talking to them, which I know, it depends on what time of day it is, what you've been through, what everything's happening, but they're coming home and they've had a day too. We don't know what they've been through, what's happened with them. Kids these days are a lot busier than I know I was as a kid. From academics to extracurriculars to the outside programs, the bullying programs, everything else that we're piling on them to help them become better people and to grow. It's a lot more than we had to deal with. So they might be coming in crazy, and we might be walking into the house crazy. But if we can keep that calm, okay, it's contagious. Your cadence, your tone of voice. And silence is powerful. I just think when a kid starts to show just a little irritating behavior, I know ours is when they're all sitting down to do homework. If one's trying to focus and the other one doesn't have something to start, they're drumming, they're tapping, they're making noise, they're turning on their music, they're doing whatever. It's irritating. Okay, first thing I want to respond is, cut that out, stop, and then they'll escalate, why do I have to? Well, I can't focus, and then everybody's tense and everybody's frustrated. If we can try to respond with the calm or the silence. Silence is powerful. Teachers do it all the time. Just the look. Okay, one, either they give them the time to self-correct. Maybe they're drumming around, they don't realize it. Or two, maybe they're thinking, oh dear God, what is she thinking? What's she going to do to me? okay? Give them the time to have those thoughts, you know, and 9 times out of 10, kids actually do self-correct. They know how to behave. They behave here all day long, or you'd be hearing about it, okay? But we've just got to be able to give them that time, okay? Tone, volume, and cadence. Speaking more slowly, speaking more calmly, but sternly, definitely helps. And don't worry, if you blow it and you do yell, "Stop tapping your pen," you'll get a second chance because they'll do it again tomorrow. Okay? So yeah, so there's plenty of time to practice all of this. Nonverbal communication. Your personal space, I mean, as teachers, they know that you're not going to be right on top of a kid. There's different distances when it comes to a pre-K kid, to a 5th grade kid, to a middle school, to a high school, you know, to keep that personal space distance. As parents, we don't have to work with it so much, okay? But when somebody's standing right over you, you feel more tense, and that'll escalate things more even if you're working with them with maybe, you know, I was a math teacher, so I'll pick on math, on their math homework. They don't get it, maybe we don't get it, okay? It's frustrating. If you're right on top of them, saying, "You need to get this one, you look at this one again," they're even more tense and they can just shut down. You kind of I try to stay, you know, on the other side of our kitchen counter where they're all working, just to have them that space, so I'm not saying 3 times 5 is 15, don't you know, that kind of, I don't even see it until they're asking me about it and working with it, just keeping that personal space. And your body language, I mean, it's hard to keep that in check. When we're feeling frustrated, kids can see right away. When you look frustrated, then it just escalates, and that's the whole point, and this is trying to keep the de-escalation, trying to avoid those power struggles, because they are going to try, okay? They're supposed to, that's their job. But if we can just nip it right there, not in a harsh tone, but in positive ways, and, you know, mixture, if you have to go to that negative, you have to go to that negative. But these are all just kind of techniques to help avoid those power struggles. We don't need to defend our credibility. Why do I have to do this? But homework is stupid. I don't want to do homework. I've done this all day. You know, those kind of reactions. We don't have to defend, well, you need to know it because this is what it's going to get you in life, and da-da-da-da-da. You don't have to answer. They're not actually looking for an answer. They're trying to get out of things. They're trying to get you to explain to them why it's important, why they need to, because that's 5 more minutes they didn't have to work on their homework. Okay? Button pushing, they know how. Classic examples in the stores. They know that you're a captive audience right there. You've got a mission to accomplish. You've got to get it done. There's people all around. When they're asking for that piece of candy that's on the shelf there, and they have the hissy fit right in the middle of the store, they know you're not at home, okay? So you can't respond in quite the same way you might at home. They're going to push those buttons. And so we can talk a little bit on how to just kind of to stop it. This list here, and you can just keep clicking until you all go. There's one more, you're good. These are what we call diffusers. When the kid starts to try to rebut, you know, or to get you engaged in a power struggle, a verbal power struggle, you can come back simply with, "I understand. Oh, I don't want to do homework. I'm so tired." "I understand. Let's keep going." And then you just keep going. You haven't gone into that power struggle. Or, you know, "This isn't fair. You know, Matt didn't have this kind of homework when he was there." "Oh, probably so." You know, nevertheless, keep moving. "Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I don't want to go to karate practice tonight. I'm so tired." "I'm sorry. Let's go. Get your shoes." And it's done. You're not going into that struggle where they're trying to take you on that escalation, whether they realize it or not. We've got a whole list and a whole book of diffusers I can post on the website just to give you little suggestions. One of mine at the house is always, "Okay, all right, but let's go." You know, and you're just done, and you're not frustrated. They kind of at first, but eventually they get it. Like, "Oh, there she goes. Okay, I'm done. That's what this means." They get the cues. You can use them on your husbands too. Probably so. It's like, it's done. Okay. Again, conflict is inevitable, but combat's optional. You can choose to engage. Okay. We're the adult. We're the parent. We actually do have the power, whether they're trying to pull and take from it, but we get to choose if we're going to engage in that combat with the kid or to just stop it. We don't have to go there. Okay. All right, unconditional positive regard. As I said, this is typically a program for teachers and for administrators. As parents, we have that already. All right, we love them unconditionally. Okay, and they probably know that, but it's always good to keep showing them. We know we love them unconditionally, but to show them verbally, to show them in our support more than we do maybe, I have to kind of remind themselves there are non-contingent interactions and contingent interactions. You can advance it. Contingent is when you're talking to them, we compliment our kids, right? Or we're telling them things, but if it's contingent on what they're doing, okay? Thanks for putting away your shoes, go brush your teeth, good job of placing your dish in the sink, helping with homework, that's not quite right. Let's try number 14 one more time. These are good things to say, but notice how they're all contingent on what they're doing, on their behaviors or on their actions. You're complimenting them, but then there are non-contingent interactions that you want to combine with that. Okay, just little things of letting kids know you're interested in them as a human being, not just a human doing, as we would say. Okay, how was your day at school? What are your table mates' names if they're working there because they get moved around, right? What's your new favorite song? My daughter always has a new favorite song that she's listening to. Just asking them about them as a person and getting them to talk about that, not necessarily what they're doing, but just what they're feeling, what they're thinking. Good job at the assembly this morning, or I really like the clothes you picked out today. And you're interested in their interests, okay, not just in their performance, so to speak, okay? The research is clear. If kids know you value them as human beings, they will return that value to you. So they're less likely to try to push you and engage you, okay? And they just need to be reinforced with that. A human doing the stuff for you, a human being will do everything. They'll give their all for you. They want to show you they're the people pleasers, okay? Little kids, especially little girls, they're naturally just people pleasers. When they hit that 12, 13, they don't maybe care so much to please you, okay? But, I even see it in my 13-year-old little son now who, if I just give him that random compliment, it still kind of sets with him, okay? It resonates with them. And then they appreciate it no matter how much they're frustrating you. Find a way to work that in just to let them know when you're thinking about it. We think it all the time. We'll look at them and we'll be admiring, oh, God, I just love him so much. Or, he's so cute, he looks just like his dad. Let them know. Just say it out loud, And rules without relationships equal rebellion. I'm not saying just lay back and let them go crazy, If we don't set those rules, you hear it over and over and over, and you all know this. Kids need the rules, they want the rules, they thrive with the rules, or they will rebel. But vice versa, if you just have the rules, if you're a drill sergeant, they will rebel. It might not come in elementary, it might not come in middle, might not come in high school. It may go when they run off to college, but that's the last thing we want, right? We want to raise them to where when we send them off by themselves, they still know how to behave and then choose to behave. They want to behave. Give our kids the time of day. We do, but we're in an age of this, we're in an age of technology. We're busy. We're either business owners or workers or running multiple school PTOs and activities. And we're busy. They're busy. We just need to take that time to just sit and talk. It doesn't have to be a planned activity. Just hanging out, okay? Getting to know them for who they are. This is what I was talking to earlier, the teach tos, and these are things that I learned. My kids don't necessarily know what I mean when I say, I need you to behave, okay? I need you to behave like you should at a restaurant, okay? We're gonna build on our restaurant behavior. What does that mean, okay? When you come home, put up all your stuff. Make sure you don't mess up the house I spent all day cleaning. What does that mean, okay? Just like in school, or just like when you're teaching them an activity to ride a bike, we need to teach them what it means, okay, for what are our expectations, what do we want. We need to, just like they do in the classroom, we should model these activities, we should lead them on how they should show us that they know what they're doing, and then test them, let them try it, okay? The model is I do, we do, you do. Classic example in my house, when they come home, all the backpacks, the shoes, everything, we're just going right in the entranceway. We have a shoe closet right there, for everything. It's got a spot for backpacks, a spot for shoes, everything. And I would say just put up your stuff. So what did they do? Chuck it in that closet, right? And the closet doors are barreling out, eventually the lights on in the closet all the time. So I decided, maybe put your stuff away. They don't know what that means in my head. How does that look for me? What is my expectation of put your stuff away? So we sat and I showed them, this is what I want you to do. Hang up the backpack on the hooks, put the shoes here. Close the door, turn out the light, walk away. That's what it means to put your stuff away. You do it, okay? And let them model. Are you kidding me? It's like, no, go ahead, try it, you know? If they're riding a bike, we're not just gonna show them one time, be like, okay, you're done, you get it, you know? Let them learn it, let them show it. And then see the next day, I wanna see how you do. It's time to put stuff away, you know, watch them. And then give them that feedback, the feedback of and this is a funny part too. We use this in the classroom, but you get to model what the incorrect way is. Don't let them model what the incorrect way is. You model what the incorrect way is. So I went in with the backpack and shoes and just chucked them, whatever, you know, kind of thing. They're laughing, whatever. It's like, this is what I don't want you to do. Okay, this is the incorrect way of putting your stuff up. And then you show them the not quite right, okay? Hang the stuff up, but leave the closet door open and the light on. That's almost right. Put it up, but not quite right. And then they do the correct way, and then they get it, okay? This works all the way through high school. This is based on a program that's research-based, and it's been around for about 40 years, okay? Even in high school, when you're teaching a new skill or something, model, you lead it, test them on it, okay? And this will save you. This is the piece that saves you so much time when they already know what you want. This can be applied to anything. This can be applied to getting in the car, to going somewhere, to going on a vacation, to going to grandma's house, to, you know, to whatever. And then big time to homework, to study, those kind of things. And that saves you that time of having to tell them again, because maybe you're having to tell them again and again and again because they don't know what you meant. And we've just got that blinder on. They should know. Okay? All right, this is out of focus on purpose, but it's refocus. Say you did teach them, you went over it, they should know what it is. They're refusing to do what you said. Okay? Homework time, kids tapping, drumming on the table just to irritate a sister. You've asked them to, I need you to be quiet, please. You know, still didn't do it. He knows what it means, okay? Now it's time for that kind of, not quite a punishment, but a redirection, a refocus in this. Refocus is turning a disruptive moment into a learning moment. It's a win-win experience for both the child and the adult. It's not completely punitive, but it will teach them what they mean. This, as I said, very much based on classroom, but when the kid is exhibiting one of those low-level behaviors, not anything major, they're not like throwing the cat off the balcony or something nuts like that, they're just doing a little low-lying irritation, you know, behavior. You, as the adults, where the self-control piece comes in, you've got to ask yourself 3 questions. As a teacher, you'd say, am I able to still teach? As a parent, am I able to still keep going with whatever we're working on? Are they able to keep going with whatever behavior they're doing? Are they able to keep going? Is everyone around them able to keep going? So are the brothers and sisters, or whoever else is in the room? Is this just irritating me a little bit? Is it just me? Or is it them? Is it actually this behavior interfering with what's happening? That's your classic pick your battles, okay? Decide. If yes, it's fine. It's just a little bit irritating, but we can all go on. Just let it go and keep in the activity. Don't even address it. Ignore it. If no, okay, I can't function with this noise happening, or a little sister can't get her homework done with this noise happening, give them a simple prompt. I need you to be quiet, please. Okay, that's a startup request. You're letting them make the decision. Okay, are they going to make the right decision or not? A shutdown request, just stop. Sometimes it requires that, right? And then give them time. Here's the wait time. Does anybody know how long we typically give a kid to respond when we ask them a question or give them a request? About 1.5 seconds, okay? And I hear that from my own kids. Come on, give me a chance, you know? I needed to lose this life, or there was 1 second left in this video, kind of thing. That's the one we hear. You know what the average time that they need? About 5 to 9 seconds. And we've got to give them that time. And as I mentioned earlier, if we give them that time, typically they'll self-correct. If you just gave them the prompt, give them a minute, you can walk over and keep going, or give them that stare, that silence, okay? They typically self-correct. If not, okay, that's when you can correct them again, if you so choose, that one more reminder, and then instruction continues. Maybe they didn't get it, maybe they didn't hear you. You know, it could be that simple. If they persist, they are choosing now to misbehave. You have told them once, okay, you've given them time to react, they've made a choice, okay, to keep that going. They want to build, they want to escalate with you. This is when we kick into the refocus. In a classroom, the way it looks is you give them a graceful exit, you assign somewhere in the back of your room, or you've got a buddy teacher that you're going to send them over. Okay, in the home, you want to keep them kind of around you, right? Maybe this is kind of like a timeout, but it's a little more to it instead of just a punishment of, all right, you're out of here, because maybe they wanted to get out of here in the first place. Okay, you allow them a graceful exit to wherever this designated spot is, and it's got to be predetermined, it's got to be taught, like we talked about a little bit ago. And then you're going to let them enter into that spot gracefully. You're not yelling, screaming, it's not punishment, it's like, okay, you know what to do, you need to go to, go to the chair, go to the spot, whatever you've determined here. Then you let them refocus, which I'll go over in a minute, and then you welcome them back. It's done, it's over. They're not in trouble, they're not being punished, okay? You fixed it, we get it, let's move on. And they're not getting out of whatever it was they were supposed to do in the first place. Okay, this is what the refocus is. In a school setting, it's maybe a written form, or it's verbal, if you're a little bitty kid or anything, or if you have any kind of writing or verbal cognitive disabilities or anything. It could be oral. At home, I would definitely keep it oral. I wouldn't have my kid do another written assignment. Okay, that's the last thing they want to do at home. But these are the kind of questions. When they're going off to refocus, it's, 3-4 minutes maybe. That's it. Okay? When they come back, they need to be able to tell you, and this is something practice that they need to know, what was the behavior you were doing? This is a classic husband-wife. I don't even know what I did. Are you able to? Yes, dear. I'm sorry, dear. They don't know why. Okay, kids do the same thing. I'm sorry. Whatever. What it was. Make them address it. Okay, what was the behavior that you were having to refocus on? Okay, let them tell you. What did you want? That means, why did you do that? Why were you doing it? What did you want? That's a hard question. A lot of times you're going to get from the kids, I don't know. That's okay. Let them, I don't know. Okay? Sometimes you might be surprised. They might tell you, well, I wanted you to pay attention to me. I needed help over here, or something like that, or I was hungry, whatever. You might be surprised sometimes with what they come back. Sometimes they know why they're doing something, and we just didn't take the time to ask. Okay? What will you do next time? This is the, what did I expect of you? How should you behave? Let them address that because they know, because you've practiced it. And if you haven't practiced it, if they don't know, now you go, oh, well, I need to teach them. We didn't know. Okay? Then are you ready to return? Are you over it? Are you done? Are we good? And typically the answer is yes. If no, now you've got some talking to do with your kid, which is a learning moment. Like I said, it's a win-win moment for both. Okay? Everybody comes out better. It's not just punitive. It's a learning experience. Okay? This one is just shows a typical example. Like I said in the beginning slide, it was about how to save more time, right? So this is an example in a classroom, but you can easily see how it would be maybe at home, like I described that homework setting of the kids all kind of sitting in the kitchen area around the bar. Okay, this one's the teachers. Everybody, it's time to put away your diagram, return to your seat. My house, time to put your iPad away. We're going to start doing our homework. Some of the kids start. Okay, well, Stanley continues to lay there with his iPad. Okay, the teacher, Stanley, would you please put your diagram away? Okay, that's that prompt. All right, Stanley, I will. Keeps going. Teacher, Stanley, in your seat, please. It's time for math. Stanley, what math? Okay, it's the math we worked on together over recess yesterday. Oh, I forgot that at home. No, it's right there on your desk, the yellow paper. What paper? So you're going back and forth. It's engaging. All this time, the other kids are still waiting. Okay, Stanley hasn't started. He's trying to engage you going through. Okay, this would easily be done. I've seen this at my own house. Oh, I don't have that homework. I didn't bring it with me. Yeah, it's right here. Can't we get to your books online? I thought we could. We can get all of them online, so let's get going. Okay? If you employed the refocus, all right, it would work a little bit more like this. All right, everybody, it's time to put your diagram away, put your iPad away. It's time to start homework. Okay? Stanley doesn't do it, it stays there. Stanley, I know you love playing on your iPad, but we need to do your math homework now. Stanley keeps going. He's refusing. Okay? This, in the classroom setting, room 10, please. Refocus. At home, have a seat in the third chair. Okay? Time for the refocus. And then, meanwhile, you move over to your other kids and you keep going. Okay? Go ahead.